Welcome back. In this chapter, we're going to be doing the eyelashes. So, like the other chapters, first we'll get the eyelid scalp, which is this one here. Make that visible, go over to descriptions, create a description. We'll call this hair underscore eye. I've called it eyelid over there. Call it eyelid. And then switch to placing and shaping guides, create. So you can see it's popped down here. We will hide the base head just so we can just focus on where this scalp is. So yeah, it's good to go. We can click on create guides and we'll just start placing them in here. So we'll start with the ends. Now you can see the white line in the middle of this brush, which adds the hairs. You can see the direction it's going to be placing them at. Now I'll go back and look at some reference here. This isn't very good reference, but if we go back to the eyes, this is good reference. So you can see I explained this when I was creating the scalp for the eyelashes, but you can see that there's a significant gap here between the eye and the eyelashes. So we don't want the eyelashes to be generated along here. We want them to be generated along this ridge, and they're basically sticking out and then they curl down. So I'm gonna want them to be sticking straight out of the surface, and so when I'm placing the guides, I'm just keeping that in mind. It doesn't really matter because you can adjust the directionality of the guide, but yeah, just keep in mind that this is what you're going to be going for when it comes to placing and designing the eyelashes. It looks like they come out here, and then as it rolls over, they start taking a bit of they start to sort of fold over on themselves. So they're on more of an angle over here, and then they're coming out towards camera about here, and then they fold over the other way as it goes down this side. So that's kind of the look that we're going to be going for. So we'll start by placing curves. We'll place one here, another one here, and then one in the middle, and then one in between those two, and one in between these two. That should do. Now just do the same on all the other ones. One here, one here, one in the middle, one here, in between those ones, and in between these two. So that eye's done. Go over to the next eye. One here, and here, one there, and there, in between, in between, and then in between those ones, just to finish it off. Okay, so that should be pretty good. We will now hide the eyelid, show the head, shift this over to the other side of the other screen. All right, so first things first is I'll select the guides. So eyelid, select all the guides we just placed. We'll just do what I've been doing previously. Segment set to 1. Modify count we'll set to 20. Rebuild. Now, because eyelashes need a nice curve, you know what, 5 should be fine. So I'll leave that at 5. The length of them seems okay. Let's set it to 2. It's too long. So we'll set length. Let's try 1.5. That's probably a bit better. If you really look closely at eyelashes, they're probably a bit longer than you may expect. So yeah, get a bit of length because we're going to be curling these up as well. So a bit of length doesn't hurt. Also, these ones in the corners, we might end up scaling them down a bit, just so they get bigger in the middle, smaller on the edges. I think, oh, here we go, tapering 0.8 and start 0.8. Actually, being eyelashes, they actually get pretty thin all the way through. So let's go 0.5. Let's go 0.1. Maybe 0.1 would be better. And then the thickness is way too thick, so the width will set to 0.03. That's probably that's the same thickness as the eyebrows, so we'll leave it at that for now. And density, let's increase quite significantly. Oh, and also go into preview, untick this so that they're always refreshing. I'll move this out of my way. Okay, so we're definitely going to need to still make some adjustments. I think the density still isn't quite there yet. 20 might be good. We can always come back. Alright, so now we will start to direct these curves. Oh, hit Q. There we go. It might actually be easier to hide the head for now. And also, like these other hair groups that I've created, they're kind of distracting. So what we can do is we can go to brow and turn it off. Head 1, turn it off. And head 2, turn it off. And then just make sure you go back to eyelid. Alright, so let's start designing these. We'll select the first curve. I'm going to turn off the hairs for now. Go to utilities and guide as curve. I'm actually going to bring back the scalp for the eyelid, just so we have something that it's sitting on. And I'll go modify, drag it up, accept. Next one, modify, drag it up. This might be too much. Drag it up. And see how I'm going to want them to be flaring out. So this one's coming out here. It could probably go a bit further that way. Coming out, coming out, coming out. So just looking at reference really helps for this. Reference always helps. If you're uncertain of what you're doing, just look at reference. So see that? Now this one's flaring out this way. Once again, not getting too caught up in what I'm doing here. This is just the first pass, and I am most certain that I'm going to have to come back through and adjust these again anyway. So pretty simple doing eyelashes though. Like, there's nothing too complex about them. Just hitting Control Z there to reset the hair because I wasn't quite happy with the curve in it. Alright, so there's one done for now. Go back to the next one. Same deal. Modify, curve it up, accept. Modify, and as you can see, like, basically from the first video, I'm doing almost the exact same procedure. The only difference is that I am the direction and the flow that I'm giving the hairs changes, determined on how the hairs are being used. Like, if I did a similar direction on the eyelashes to what's going on the eyebrows, we're obviously not going to get a look which is desirable. So, but yeah, everything else is pretty much the same. And I really like this process in using XGen. It's just limited controls, but it gives you like limited control with the amount of guides I'm using, but it's enough for me to get the look that I'm going for. And as I was saying in one of the first tutorials, in one of the first chapters, that is, having more curves was actually making it overly complex, and the hair structures and everything just overly complex, and it just wasn't necessary. So now we can refresh, and you can see we got some hairs generating here, some eyelashes. So we got some gaps in here, which isn't that great. So maybe if we go to primitives, we increase the density. Let's just go to 50. 50 might be too much. Let's go back to our reference. So yeah, we got like a gap here. It looks like there's some sort of gap here and here. It looks a lot denser on top, but yeah, just getting an idea of the density we have going on there. It looks close, so let's go down to 40. 40 might be good. Yeah, let's leave it at that. So yeah, we got some good coverage here. I'm not really happy about this gap here. Maybe 45. Yeah, that's better. 45 will do. Okay, let's now hide the eye scalp and bring back the head. Control H is to hide, Shift H is to show. That's the hotkeys. Alright, so this is actually looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the lengths of most of them. I might give these middle three on the tops and bottoms a bit more length just for variation, but also because I feel like they're not quite long enough. There we go. Sweet. Alright, let's hide the guides just so they're not distracting what we're looking at. Now it looks a bit feminine because they're so perfect, so let's run some modifiers on these just to break them up a little bit more and make them look a bit more natural. So let's go to modifiers, let's add a clumping, low frequency clumping, just like every other time, generating from the guide, hit save. We don't want the tip clumping that much. So let's set it to 0.3. Let's do another clump. This one will be a mid-frequency. I'll set it to 0.5, I think. Generate. It's probably not enough. Let's go 1. Generate. That's more like it. So hit save. Once again, move this 0.2. This one might actually have to go to something more like 0.4. This one, to 0.3. Let's add a cut, and we'll set that to 5. You can see that's way too intense. Let's go to 1. That's probably better. By turning it on and off, we can see what adjustment this is making. Probably still too much. So let's go 0.5. Because like you never really cut your eyelashes. Like some will fall out and they'll grow back, but I don't want too much variation in the length. The clumping's looking a bit odd, so we got a double up here. Alright, let's set this back to 0.4. Don't really want that. Okay. That's looking alright. It's just adding a bit of variation there. There we go. maybe a bit too intense, it looks like, on this one. Might even have to bring this up to 0.45. It's just a bit too intense, and then I can delete these ones. Alright, let's add a noise. It's obviously going to be low frequency because don't really want the eyelashes looking like this. This might be cool on maybe like an elephant or something like that, but not in this case. Frequency 0.1, magnitude 5, way too much. 2, that's looking alright. Getting a lot of really nice variation in there. 0.05 does nothing. 0.5. Now maybe set this back to 1. Let's see it with and without the noise. It's giving some really nice variation there. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. So yeah, you can go through and continue obviously tweaking this further if need be. But I'm pretty happy with how this looks. I may make some changes once we do a render of this at the end, because sometimes the eyelashes can look too intense and it'll look like your character's wearing mascara, or it just looks like they're wearing makeup basically. Which in this case we don't really want that. But I'm pretty happy with this result. I might play with this frequency a bit more. 0.25. Increase the magnitude. It's much of a muchness. It's fine. Alrighty. So I'll now bring back the brows, the head, hair, and O2 head hair. And now you can see we're really getting some. We're really filling this character out with some much needed hair. So it's looking good. The next chapter is going to be about adding hair for the beard. So yeah, on to the next chapter.